So, in an earlier video, I talked about the order of creation. Thought is followed by feelings, which are then followed by actions, or rather reactions to those feelings, and then we finally have the consequence. But for most of us, we are not actually aware of the thoughts that are actually fueling our actions. Usually we become aware that there's something awry only at the feeling level. We can feel the physical sensations, and some of us don't even feel the physical sensation. We only are aware of the emotion, particularly when they're very strong. And then we wonder why. Like, why do I feel so off? So what do you do then? What do you do when there's something hits you and you're completely engulfed in negative emotions? Um, so if you're able to really collect yourself, start to notice what is the thought, the original thought that triggered this chain reaction. So sometimes we're not aware until the consequence, meaning maybe we've lashed out at the other person, or we have hurt ourselves, we beat ourselves up, or maybe we act out, in the form of some kind of addiction, maybe to food, maybe to, internet, or it could be anything. So so sometimes you really need to, it's a practice in noticing and awareness. So when we're finally able to collect ourselves, and we might want to really look at, first of all, what is the stressful situation itself? When did it start? You might want to think about the exact moment when the hurt began. So think about, when it happened, the time of day, where it happened, where it took place, where was the scene of the crime, so to speak. Also, who were the parties involved? It might be one particular person, and I would suggest really working with one person at a time. So, what is it that person said or did, or it could even be something as simple as a look, a remark that they made, or maybe they were just standing there and not really doing anything, but something suddenly awakened this entire world of suffering within you. So really notice the exact moment of hurt, the stressful situation, and then notice what is the thought behind that. What is the thought that awakened this whole world of suffering within you. So it could be something like, he hurt me, or she hurt me, he didn't respect me, he doesn't respect me, she doesn't care about me. So the thoughts could look like that. So what do you then do with these thoughts, right? So let us now move to the 4 questions, which is basically the process of the inquiry. So the first question is it true? So let's take a thought like, she doesn't care about me. Now, the answer to this question can only be yes or no. Now, the reason for that is, and not a maybe or anything like that, there's no in between. Why? Because no thought is true. We are merely projecting our thoughts onto a particular situation. So this whole inquiry process is about really noticing if a thought is actually true, or is it something that I'm just believing blindly onto a person or a situation. So if the answer is yes, she doesn't care about me, so of course there are no right or wrong answers here. If you still believe that to be true, move to question number 2, which is, can I absolutely know that she doesn't care about me? And again, to this question, we also have only a yes or no answer. Can I be 100% sure that she doesn't care about me? And it takes a lot of stillness to really notice. So if there's even one little, tiny little piece of, evidence that this thought isn't true, then you know what your answer. It's a no. So that completely negates the idea. So then you would move on to question number 3, which is, how do you react when you believe this thought? And most of us already have the answers to this question. So reactions can include emotions. So it could be, I feel hurt, I feel depressed, sad, maybe even angry, frustrated, confused. So emotions, it could be physical sensations. So really notice when I'm attaching to this thought, what happens in my body? Do I feel heavy in my chest? Do I start to breathe, in a more shallow manner? Do I feel sort of this tingling in my stomach or what have you? So notice the physical sensations. Other reactions could be some sort of, medicating in some way. Maybe you reach for a cookie, something sweet, or you reach for YouTube, or it could be any kind of way that you're trying to sort of not deal with the thought. So that is also a reaction. Reactions could also be, how do you treat yourself when you believe this thought? Are you mean to yourself? How do you treat the other person? Do you lash out? Do you stonewall? Do you go into a cave and just you don't let the other person in? Do you shut yourself off? So those are also reactions. And even a wonderful question could be, does that thought bring peace or stress into my life? So, and usually when such thoughts are they're stressful. So it's just good to notice, is it a peaceful way to live believing this thought, So how do I react when I believe that thought? And then we move to question 4, which is, and this is sort of where the magic happens. Who would I be without this thought? So this might take some time, and there is no there's no timeline, deadline to inquiry. You can sit with one question for as long as you want, for as long as you're able to get really still and find the responses emerging from within. So who would you be if you just couldn't believe she doesn't care about you? And you might want to get really, really still for this and see what life or reality beyond the story that we're projecting onto it. So, and usually people might say things like, I would be peaceful, I would be free, um, I would be relaxed, I would be open, I would be receptive. So, so these are the four main questions. And then we move to what's called turnarounds. And turnarounds are basically, we're looking at alternatives to the original thought. We're looking at, for example, she doesn't care about me. One turnaround could be, she does care about me. That's literally the opposite of the original thought. And then we find three specific, genuine examples for that. And the reason we do that is because the mind is already, it has a lot of proof, evidence for the original thought. Of course, she doesn't care about me, you know. But when we're looking at examples for the opposite, we are becoming more flexible and more open, and open to a more kinder way of being. So those are the four questions, and we'll talk about turnarounds in another video.